Hi everybody and welcome to the Retro Ghetto 3.0. For those that are new to the channel, we built this room from the ground up from what was a dilapidated old garage, and now we're finally at a position where I'm happy to show you guys my video game room tour. The journey to get to this point has taken months of hard work and years of planning. I have been documenting the build process throughout on my channel, and if you are interested in catching up with that, there'll be a link in the description box below. And in many ways this is just the beginning. A video game room is never really complete, and I've got multiple projects planned that I'll be documenting throughout on my channel. So if that's something that you're interested in, you want to continue on this journey with me in this room, click the subscribe button. But with all that being said, let's get into the tour. Retro Ghetto. Okay, and we're going to start with what I think is one of the most important parts of any video game room, and that's the lighting. I have got 6 spotlights running down the centre of the room, and I've done it on 2 different dimmer switches. So what I'm able to do is isolate the back part of the room, and obviously I can adjust it accordingly, and equally I can do the same with this part of the room as well. I just think that's very important, just to create the right ambience, especially when you're gaming. You don't want too bright a light overhead. So often I have the front ones off and then the back ones on, and that'll be how I tend to do my gaming. And then we move on to what I think is one of the best features in the entire room, and that's this LED light strip that I had. I had this installed at the plastering stage because this actually runs flush and parallel, and it goes around the whole circumference of the room. But as you'll see now, using this remote, the effect that it has is fantastic. It actually comes with an app, so you can choose any range of different colours just to give different moods. I tend to have it on the white light, and what I tend to do is usually turn it down a bit, and this tends to be how I do most of my gaming. But as you can see, we went around the full perimeter of the room, and I think it just provides an absolutely fantastic effect. And yeah, it was a lot of hard work to get this how it is now, but I think it was definitely worth it. Okay, so let's kick off the tour properly, and where else to start but at the entrance to the room. As you'll see, I've put this God of War 2018 standee on the door. I'm a big standee and promotional piece collector, and I've had to be very selective with which standees I can get into this room, so it's just the ones I love. Speaking of which, as we move across, the first of the trio of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas standees sits right there. I travelled up and down the country. I had to piece all 3 of the standees together individually, but yeah, really happy to have them. And as we move across, this is sort of the entertainment area. So this is the wall that houses the TV. But you'll notice here we have this original store display PlayStation light. It's very rare I actually have this light on. It does work, but I use this more so as a display piece. And that takes us to the PlayStation 5, the big ugly PlayStation itself. It's very annoying actually, because I recently got all my systems into this Kallax unit, and then this thing turned up, and obviously there was no chance that was going to fit. But yeah, so we put the PlayStation 5 there, and then on from the PlayStation 5 I had to buy myself an OLED. So I bought a 55-inch Sony OLED, which I think is just the perfect size for this room. And that's currently showing my Retro Ghetto 2.0 room tour, I think, from all those years ago. And above the TV there's actually a nice space, so I do have a bit of room to grow in this video games room. And then yes, as we say, we make our way down. So we've got a Kallax unit, heavily modified Kallax unit actually, because originally they don't come with any backing, so we had to put a back on it, and cut all the holes out so we could hide as many wires as possible, and also bought all of these individual shelves just so we had more shelf space. But I'll talk you through each individual opening. In there we've got the first of the surround sound speakers and the Nintendo Switch. Then we've got my digital clock. I love this clock. It has loads of different sort of light functions. It can also show the date, temperature, etc. Just a nice piece to have. And then we've got the Wi-Fi router. It was imperative that I had my own Wi-Fi in this room, so that sits there. And then we've got Super Nintendo, and just in the back there you might see another of the surround sound speakers. Down from there we've got my Mega Drive 2, Xbox One X, PlayStation 4, Wii U. This drawer here contains all of the modern console peripherals, controllers, wires, that kind of thing. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Dreamcast, GameCube, and then this one contains all of the retro peripherals and controllers. So yeah, it's just a nice setup. I managed to get all those consoles and some surround sound speakers in there. Not really any wires on show, so I was really happy with that. And then as we make our way across, you can see the second of the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas standees in the corner. I love those pieces so much that I had to have them front and center, and I just think they look great in the room. And then if we move our way across to what you see as you enter the room, I bought another smaller IKEA Kallax unit, but it just sort of fits perfectly against that one. I've got my record collection down here, which is primarily sort of 90s hip hop, but also quite a lot of Motown, movie soundtracks and video game soundtracks as well. And then we see the Technics separates. This is a CD player that I coveted so much as a young lad. I could never afford one. It was something that all the sort of cooler kids had. And I actually found this about a year or so ago in a charity shop for just £10. So I was really happy to have that. And as you'll have already seen, I've got the speakers front end display underneath the television. And I thought, what better standee to have as you walk into the room than this Grand Theft Auto San Andreas standee. Before I make our way to the retro area and where I sit and do my gaming, I'm going to go up here and show you these units. So I've got Rob the Robot there, and then from there we've got the full Nintendo Wii U PAL set. Now I'm going to say it now before you all start going at me in the comments. I do alphabetize my games, but I do aesthetics first. So you'll notice that I do big box. You see the Luigi game there because it's green, so I kind of go on what it looks like, and then after that I alphabetize. But yeah, this is the full PAL Wii U set, all 164 games I think it is. And then I've got more room to grow because the top shelves are empty, except for this Wii U logo and this Lego minifigure of myself that I had made at Legoland. So yeah, and as we come down from there, we can look at the retro area. So all the consoles that you've seen in the Kallax unit, all the modern consoles, so sort of Wii U, PlayStation 3 onwards, are all hooked up to this TV. And then anything sort of Dreamcast, GameCube and below is hooked up to this TV. I absolutely love this. This is the Bang & Olufsen 32-inch DVD Avant. I had this in storage for so long. It's such a big, cumbersome thing, but I think it's an absolutely beautiful, timeless design. The picture quality is immense. The sound quality is second to none. And it adds this really cool DVD feature. It sort of opens up from the top, as you'll be seeing on screen now. And yeah, it's just a very, very nice television. I'm really happy to finally be getting some use out of it. That sits next to the custom Super Nintendo controller table. Something which I've had throughout various game rooms now. At one point this was even displayed on a wall. But I'm really happy that now I have the space to use this as a coffee table as intended. It was custom made by a chap in Leicester. He did such a fantastic job on it. The level of detail is brilliant. And then we've got my Big Boys Toys Bulkies Ryu here. Love this toy line. They're very expensive, difficult to get in the UK. It's a Hong Kong company, but I do actually have a second one on its way, so I'm very excited about that. And then below the table, I've got my VHS and my Sony surround sound and another speaker. So I've tried to hide all the wires, so you won't see too many wires on display. Put this electric radiator in. I'm not going to bore you too much about that, but it is Wi-Fi controlled, so I can turn it on before I come into the room. My wooden Retro Ghetto logo, shout out to F2 Woodworks. And then I've got a nice couple of standees either side of that. So this is part of a bigger standee from the Red Dead Redemption DLC, the Undead Nightmare. I just love how macabre it is, I love the artwork. And then we have Ryu, that side. And then as we make our way this way, you can see I've got a two-seater leather sofa. And I sort of made the room around this. For me, comfort and my seating position was imperative, so everything sort of came after that. So as you can see, there's nothing behind my seat, so I can fully recline in comfort. And as you'll see, when I sit here and fully recline, Got such a great view of both televisions. And I just want to show you guys this. I only got this yesterday. It's the small things, right? This is like a little tray that sort of clips onto the sofa. It doesn't move. It's got this adjustable piece here for a phone or a tablet, and yeah, it's just a really nice handy thing for drinks and snacks while you're gaming. If you're interested in where I got any of these things from, or you want links, just let me know in the comments and I can get them sent across to you. But yeah, really happy with how this sort of area came together. The room's almost been divided into two by the sofa, so this is where I spend sort of 90% of my time playing on at least one of these televisions. And behind the sofa, I've got a subwoofer and two more surround sound speakers. This is all just the sort of equipment that I use for my recording of my videos. So yeah, we've got a total of 5 speakers and a subwoofer that are all centered around my seating position. So yeah, I've tried to really maximize my gaming area. So that takes us to the second part of the room, which houses most of my collection and all of my games. So we're going to start off at this larger Billy bookcase. So at the top of the case, we've got some of my Mattel Hercules figures. I'm a big fan of Disney's Hercules. So we've got Pegasus up there with Herc and Phil. And then as we come down to the unit itself, we've got 2 of my favourite collector's edition statues. I'm not the biggest Assassin's Creed fan, but I think this is one of the best collector's edition video game statues of all time. I mean, that Medusa base is just fantastic. And then behind that, of course, we've got Atreus and Kratos with another 3D printed Retro Ghetto logo behind that. You can see just there, that's the God of War 3 edition that was sent out to reviewers. Time Crisis 4, God of War Ultimate Trilogy Edition, which comes with the Pandora's box. So this unit is mostly PlayStation 4 and 3. I'm not a big collector of PlayStation 4. It's mostly sort of special editions, big box, sleeve covers and things like that. Steelbooks. This is the remainder of my PS4 collection. And my one solitary PS5 game. The only reason I own the system right now. And then we've got the Helghast helmet from Killzone 3 Collector's Edition. And some more big box PlayStation 3 games. Below that, we've got Game Boy. It's a very modest collection, but it's one of my favourite collections to display. I just love the boxes, love the artwork. I've got the 3 Mario games, 3 Pokemon games, Tetris, Zelda, all the essentials. And then the next shelf is very much a work in progress. It's a little bit of an overflow for some of my larger toy lines. So we've got the Mezco Gangsters line, Mezco Scarfaces, and some bigger Street Fighter figures down there. I do have the accessories for all these figures, I just haven't unboxed them all yet. And as I say, there is a lot more toys to get into this room. Below that, a very rare PlayStation 3 Collector's Edition of the Walking Dead Telltale series. Don't think this was ever available in the UK, I think this was a GameStop exclusive. It actually comes with a really nice graphic novel. It's just a really nice piece, love the artwork on it. Below that, God of War Ascension PlayStation 3 console. My favourite toy probably in the whole room is my 18-inch NECA Kratos. The detail on this is crazy. Again, it was something that was quite hard to come by. I had to get mine from Germany. I don't think they were stocking these in the UK. But yeah, very happy to have that. Speaking of Kratos, as we come up here, you'll see, I believe this was a statue by Gaming Heads. And this is taken from, I think, the beginning of God of War 2. Once he becomes the God of War and he sits on the throne. But yeah, the statue, the detail on this is crazy. One of my favourite pieces. And I've got a 3D printed God of War logo behind that. That just sits on top of these units, which are just used for storage, primarily pickups that haven't yet shown on the channel. And then, as we continue to make our way over, got my Xbox 360 kiosk. I think over time I've had about 4 different kiosks that I've had and let go because I just wasn't using them, they're so big. But this has always been my favourite one. I'm a big fan of the Xbox 360 and the library, and there's so many games that I enjoy playing standing up, like one-on-one fighters and arcade races. But also you can take advantage of the Xbox 360 Live Arcade. Sometimes I just get the desire to play old games and I just go and see if it's on the store and then download it and play it here. I do actually have the original artwork for this. It came with the Xbox Kinect artwork, but I'm not a fan of that artwork. I do have big plans to customise this going forward, so yeah, keep it locked to the channel for that. And we're going to be doing some custom artwork on here in the next few weeks and months. As we make our way over to the door here, I framed this Def Jam Vendetta poster. Big fan of the Def Jam series. And then behind this door is my outside area and gym. So you can only access this area via the games room. Haven't really done much to it since I built it. I'm going to wait to sort of spring, summer, and we're going to be adding a load more gym equipment. But yeah, it's just nice to have that outside area as well. And then we sort of make our way to the beginning of the video game room collection. But before that, we also have a Leviathan axe by the back door. So don't try it. And I should also mention this 18-inch Tony Montana NECA figure that we've got down here as well. So yeah, as we make our way across this side of the room, have to mention this Rugrats standee. Being a 90s kid, being a Nickelodeon kid, I absolutely love this. It's just nostalgia for me. Every time I look at it, I smile. I'm smiling now looking at it. Just takes me back to being at my grandma's house, 7:30 and 4:30 on weekdays watching the Rugrats. Yeah, really happy to have found that from the Rugrats movie. But then we make our way to the beginning of the game collection, and we've got Mega Drive. Love collecting from the Mega Drive. So many games that I could mention in here that are personal favourites. Recently playing Felios, which is a great game. All the Shinobi series, of course. Thunder Force 4 is one of my favourites. And then the collection spans its way across to this side as well, where we've got the Blue Spine Mega Drive games. And whilst we're here, I'll probably show you guys what is my favourite toy line. It's the DC God of War 3 toy line. It only came with 4 figures, but I was also able to find the prototype of Kratos. So yeah, really happy to have that set completed. So as we make our way back, as I said, my love for the Rugrats. This is the full DVD collection. There's also the Hey Arnold version there as well. Just some of my bigger box Switch stuff there. This old Zelda figure from Ocarina of Time. And then my modest GameCube collection. I've got the games that I really wanted. I really wanted Ikaruga and Paper Mario. But I would like to add to that collection next year. And then we get to the beginning of my big boys toys. These are called TNC, the new Challenger. And these are like really high quality vinyl figures that also light up and make noises.
Panic boom!
So you see, I've got 5 of those. I do have the perfect space to add another one here. But for now, I've just got some collector's editions and Sagat from Storm Collectibles. Back we go again. My Nintendo Wii collection, big box stuff. And if you'd like to see anything in more detail, don't worry. I am going to be doing a deeper dive into my game room in the next few weeks and talking a few more of the stories and the process of how we got to this point. There's one of my Pulp Fiction figures there as well. And you can see there's like a shelf of minis. So that's all my Pulp Fiction minis. And then the start of the Kid Robot Street Fighter collection. A couple of SDCC exclusives, the Gold Ryu and the Mecha Zangief. One's fell over, there's always one And then below that, got a tiny arcade collection. There's another one in the back. I think that's all of them. Kid Robot, Mega Man, Kid Robot Hot Ryu. My Capcom home arcade. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't get a lot of play. I bought this for display as much as anything else. I love Capcom. I love the look of this arcade stick. But yeah, it's very much a display piece. It's been a long time since I played it. Nintendo Switch. Love collecting for the Nintendo Switch. Of all the modern consoles, this is my favourite. I do intend to collect a lot more hardcore for it next year. So many games I could mention. And another modest collection here, the Dreamcast, which I pretty much bought for Street Fighter Third Strike. Hey Arnold propping that up. And then above that we've got my PlayStation 2 collection, which spans its way right around the corner and right away over that side of the room. So I'm just going to take a step back, show you guys the look of those shelves. Really happy with how it's all come together. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this. Probably my crowning glory, my favourite piece in my whole collection. My original Nintendo sign, I think it's from 1990. These have become very rare to get hold of now. It's very brittle, it's real light, hollow plastic, so I have to really handle it with kid gloves every time I move it. But thankfully I've not caused any damage yet, and that's why it's sort of there in the room, so as you walk in you notice that. Yeah, probably my favourite piece of my whole collection. Big Pulp Fiction fan, as you'll be able to guess. This is Jimmy, aka Quentin Tarantino, chilling with his coffee. I do actually have the full line, but one of the things that I've learned in making this room is that you don't have to display every single figure that you own. I've just sort of picked the best of each bunch and put them on display. And then I've got this little blind here as well, which, as gamers and collectors, we don't like natural light, so that doesn't get open too often. And then of course, Master Chief himself. It's a life-size Master Chief. He stands about 6'3". I just think he looks fantastic. Nice statement piece. It's made by a German company called Oxmanox. And then below there, I've got the shield from God of War and an Xbox official stockist store display piece. Most of this shelf you've already seen. I've also got this Tekken 5 standee. This isn't a forever home for it, but I just loved it so much I wanted to get it in the room. So it's currently underneath the PlayStation 2 set. And on this one we've got VHS, which I definitely don't collect, but I just seem to keep amassing different VHS. My favourite NECA Kratos. I wanted to display this one simply because of these lances that he took from, I think it was Hercules. Such a toyetic accessory. Just makes for a great toy. And then you've got the beginning of the Xbox set, which begins with this original Xbox store display light. It doesn't really come from on camera, but this is a very bright light. It's pretty much illuminates the whole room. But that really does just signify the beginning of the Xbox collection. From there we've got Xbox One. And that turns into Xbox 360. I'm a big fan of sleeve covers and slipcover variants, and then that becomes sort of standard Xbox 360, which comes right the way across 3 shelves. And randomly at the end of an Xbox section, a Mario. A lot of these toys are very interchangeable. I've got boxes and boxes of toys and figures that aren't in this room. I just like to fill the spaces where I can, and I like old Mario, so the older the better. And whilst we're here, some more of my Mattel Disney's Hercules collection. Life-size pop culture shot Ryu. And then where it all began really, the Super Mario All-Stars console. As a child, getting that at Christmas sort of began my love affair with the Super Nintendo, which has sort of escalated into this room that you see today, and the big box Super Metroid behind that. Speaking of Super Nintendo, These bottom two shelves are very much overflow. So this is where the Super Nintendo games go to die. This is sort of the games that are in bad condition, or sports titles, or games that just haven't made the SNES wall, which we'll get to shortly. And then yeah, as I say, back to the Xbox, mostly big box stuff. Love this collector's edition. A couple more figures. We've got a Sagat, Storm Collectible Shinapuma. More big box Xbox 360 stuff. Which then goes to PlayStation 1. 2 rows of PS1 games. And at the end of PlayStation 1 you will see the only Funko Pop in this room, what I believe is the best Funko Pop ever made, which is the Ice Cube Funko Pop Rise from the It Was a Good Day video, next to Wu-Tang Taste the Pain, which is one of my personal favourites. And from there, we make our way back up. Beginning of the PlayStation 3 collection. Before we do PlayStation 3, can't forget this shelf down here. This is my hip hop shelf. So this houses my Mezco hip hop collection. Got all the Notorious B.I.G.'s, Run DMC. In the back there's like Public Enemy as well. Got quite a few more hip hop toys that I still need to add, but still going through a lot of the stuff that I've got in storage. Now we get to the PlayStation 3 collection, and again, mostly big box. And the sleeve covers, steelbooks, and then we've got the older style PS3 games, and then that goes into more modern PlayStation 3, which ends with probably my favourite PlayStation 3 collector's edition. That's this special God of War trilogy. Love this box. And next to that we've got a couple of Kratos Sackboys. So I think that's pretty much everything on my shelves. So I can now do a bit more of an overview and show you guys. There's a lot of arranging and rearranging to get myself happy with these shelves, but I'm really happy with how they've turned out. The thing about being a collector is it's a constantly evolving process, so these shelves are ever changing. And then as we make our way up from the shelves, I'm sure you've seen, before we get to the Super Nintendo wall, my Street Fighter collection. So this is all the SOTA Street Fighter toys. Huge fan of this line. I've actually become very sought after, and they're becoming harder and harder to find the ones that I don't need. But yeah, so many great figures here. And what I love about collecting these is they've all got so many different variants. You can see there, look. The only problem is some of them are so brittle. There's a lot of super glue and blue tack in that collection to get them all standing. And then we get to sort of random Street Fighter figures, NECA and other manufacturers. Before we get to the more modern stuff, these are all Storm Collectibles. Very highly detailed, lots of articulation on these. Very expensive figures, but you can see why when you have them in hand. So yeah, that's my Street Fighter action figure collection. And at the end of that, one of my personal highlights is my Hydra from Disney's Hercules. Again, the Mattel line. I just got a lot of nostalgia with this. My younger brother had one of these as a child. The top actually pops off and there's even more heads that come out. And what you might notice is he's actually locking eyes and doing war with Hercules and Pegasus up here. So I kind of set that up in the room. And that takes us nicely to probably my favourite part of the room, which is my Super Nintendo wall. So the Super Nintendo games aren't in alphabetical order. I've just sort of done them in sort of category order, if you like. So at the bottom you can see here we've got racing games, sports games, some very recent editions, Sparkster. You've got the silver box Konami set. I just love the artwork of the Super Nintendo in this era generally, which is why I decided to display them like this. Mega Man and Bomberman games. Is there anything that you want to see in more detail, or you want any information on, let me know in the comments. But yeah, we've got the movie games, Disney games, Star Wars, and we've got shooters and shmups up there. And more so in the middle, this is where you get the sort of heavy hitters, because this is where I film a lot of my videos. So you've got some of the more valuable games here. Link to the Past, probably my favourite game of all time. Mario section. And one-on-one fighters. And another original Super Nintendo store display piece, something I was after for a long time, so really happy to have added that to my collection. Yeah, I actually did a whole video on putting the Super Nintendo all together, so if you are interested there'll be a link in the description below. But yeah, really happy with how it came out. And that takes us back down to this corner where we began. And what is probably my favourite standee, my Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I mean, what's not to love, right? Street Fighter figures, Marvel characters. And in many ways, this sort of area here really epitomises what I tried to do with this room. I tried to make the room very clean and very white, but then with my collection add a lot of colour. And I think I've been able to do that. And as I say, the way that this standee pops, the colours on here, yeah, that just signifies exactly what I wanted in this room. And then below that we have Pac-Man, Arcade 1-Up. I understand why these machines have their detractors. I did actually have a Street Fighter 1 at one point, which I got rid of because I wasn't happy with the controls. But I just love Pac-Man. If I ever got 5-10 minutes to just pass a bit of time, I want to try and beat my very average high school, I just love coming here and standing and having 5-10 minutes on Pac-Man. And it's just perfect for me. So down the line, I would like to replace this with something a bit more versatile. I'd like a candy cab or something like that, but that's sort of something for another day. And yeah, that pretty much takes us back to where we started, guys. So I'm delighted with what I've managed to achieve with this room. I hope you guys have enjoyed the tour. And what I've tried to do with this room is wherever you stand, whatever angle we look at, I've tried to make it so there's just different things to see, and there's nowhere in this room you can stand that's boring or there's nothing nice to look at. There's all different views and different angles of things, and yeah, I'm really happy with what I've managed to achieve. But like I said at the start, this is very much just the beginning of the journey. I've got lots of plans for future things in here already that I'm going to be changing and expanding upon. So as always, play your games, keep it retro. Thank you for taking the time to watch. If you did enjoy this, please click the like button so we can help share this to more people. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all real soon. Take care.
Retro Ghetto.